well. And nice to have you with us as we kick off day 2 of the NCAA tournament here on Mad Dog Unleashed. And it's good to have you with us. Nice to have you aboard. Good to have you aboard on this busy afternoon with Eddie Erickson and Colin Schmelling along the way. 888 Mad Dog 6, 2A Sports Talk telephone number. As we take you through your second day of the NCAA, second day of round 1. 8 games this afternoon, 8 games tonight, 16 in total as we chat. A&M has already beaten Providence. Purdue has already blown out Cal State Fullerton. 2 games as we speak, and 3 games as we spoke, 2 games. Relatively close. Cincinnati has a 5-point lead on Georgia State, halftime, and Wichita State, with about 11 minutes left, will get to the conclusion if it stays close, leading Dan D'Antoni's team 54-53. Bob Wenzel, good to have you with us. We had a lot of fun in day 1. Let's see if we can continue in day 2.
I don't think there's going to be any doubt about it. We got close games already on the horizon. Wichita State and
I'll let you know at 5
Marshall.
o'clock. I'll let you know at 5 o'clock, Bob. We're over 150 and a half. Now, we got a lot to do. Something that you wanted to do right out of the gate, and it was a great idea. The Buffalo head coach is Nate Oats, and what a job they did. Knocked out Arizona, killed everybody's pool. And Nate will start the program off for us today on SiriusXM. Coach Christopher Russo along the way, and, of course, the legendary Bob Wenzel. Nice to have you with us. How are you, okay?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
Nate, you're going to be legendary. You keep beating teams in this tournament by the name of Arizona and Kentucky.
Listen, we got one. We can't get ahead of ourselves. Kentucky's got a few players on that team.
I'll tell you what, congratulations on the win, man. And watching you and the offense that you were running, you were getting a quality shot every possession. Clark and Harris go 10 for 14, 10 for 20. You shoot 50% from three-point range. I mean, how did it feel going through that game?
I mean, it felt great. I knew we had a chance, but then, to actually start seeing the ball drop on what you're running, and, you think that you'll have a mismatch with Harris, but then when you see him actually go by Ayton every time, and he starts cooking, and they can't guard Wes Clark, and I'll tell you what, we got into the first 4-minute media, and we're like, dang, we might be the better team here. We take care of the ball and play like we're supposed to. We're gonna win this game, and then it just kept reiterating itself time and time again, and it was a good night for us.
Well, what happened after the game? I mean, you got the college basketball world's attention with this game, and so the celebration afterward was fun to watch. Tell what's the day after? A Cinderella team beats a high-profile team. What's the day after like?
Well, we've been to the tournament 2 out of the last 3 years, so this is like 3 out of 4 now for us. So we had talked at the beginning of the year, like, we want to get back, but we don't want to just get there. It's time to start winning some games and making some noise. So we really wanted to get to the second weekend in this deal. So, we were a little disappointed with our seed. We thought we should have been better than the 13, but, initially you're a little irritated. Then you just use it as a chip on your shoulder. And I told our guys, like, let's say we were a 12. We would have to beat a 5 and then a 4. Okay, we're a 13, so what difference does it make? We beat the 4 first, and then we got to take the 5 off.
That's a great way of looking at it.
You hit it right on the button. That's smart. All right, you win the conference tournament. Sometimes the leader in that conference doesn't win those games, and Buffalo took a long time to get over the hump a few years ago. You finally get through, and you win last week against Toledo. Then you go into Boise, and you're playing an Arizona team that had gotten through a lot of tough spots in the course of the year. We all know about the whole deal with the FBI. You go into Boise to take on a team that had won the Pac-12. You said you felt comfortable. They got the number 1 pick in the draft. We know that. Give me your thought process when you looked at film, what you had to do to win this game here against the Wildcats last night in Boise. What'd you have to do?
Well, you had to take away Ayton. I mean, they Sean Miller's a great coach. Sean was really, really good to us after the game and complimented you. I got a lot of respect for Sean, and I don't know what was all that other stuff, but on the floor, that guy can coach, and he does a great job. He's a good guy. So They punch it in, though, every time down. They were 312th in the country in percentage of points coming from 3 because they're smart and go to their 7-footers. So we had to take it away from Ayton. So we wanted to front it. Nobody had really done that much with them in the Pac-12. A lot of teams zoned them. We got really good guards that can put a ton of ball pressure on you. So it's almost like the quarterback that has all day to, pinpoint his passes. We didn't want that. We were going to blitz their point guard and put pressure on and not let them throw those lobs that easy. They got a few, but we really held Ayton in check, which was our big thing. And then the second thing was we wanted to make them shoot a lot of threes. because they don't shoot it that well. So they ended up going 2 for 18, which ideally we would have liked to see them shoot a few more than that. But 2 for 18 is pretty good defensive 3-point percentage, and that we kind of executed. And then the last thing was we had to rebound it. Doing everything you do, if you don't get the rebound, it doesn't matter. And we ended up out-rebounding them by 1, and they had 2 7-footers out there most of the night. So our guys fought pretty hard.
That is great planning and great execution, too. And I'm watching the game, and I'm saying, man, they can't get the ball into them. And the pressure by the guards on the passer was fantastic. Now, you're facing Kentucky, who, for the first game in I don't know how many years, did not make a 3, 0 for 6 in their game yesterday. So is it similar, or is it a little bit different with your defensive strategy?
You know what? Similar in that, I mean, how crazy is this? Arizona was 312th in the country. Kentucky's 344th in the country in percentage of points from 3.
Wow.
So similar in the fact that we want them to shoot threes, as evidenced by they only took 6 and didn't make any last game. But they do it much different. They're off the dribble. The spacing's a lot different. The floor's spaced better, so it's harder to kind of pack it in the lane on Kentucky. And they're a really good offensive rebounding team. I think they're 8th in the country in offensive rebounding percentage. So, again, we got to try to get them to shoot more threes than 6, but we got to take care of the defensive glass. Drive a lot more, and Arizona got them off post-ups more.
Nate, I don't know how in the world you can play a better offensive game than you did last night. I mean, you shoot 55% from 2, 50 for 15 for 30 from 3, outscoring 45-6 from the 3-point line. Yeah, you only commit 10 turnovers in this game, and you score 90 points. I mean, listen, against a good team with, as you said, 7-footers. I know you wanted to press the pace and shoot threes and all that. That has to be as good an offensive game as you played all year. Is that correct?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to shoot, 45-6 from the 3-point line, you're going to win a lot of games doing that. And really, in the second half, when we blew it open, we had 1 turnover the entire second half. So, I mean, it was, I thought Wes Clark's game was unbelievable. He had 25 and 7 assists and 4 rebounds and only turned it over 3 times to his 7 assists. So I thought, defensively, Carruthers and Jordan were unbelievable, putting the pressure on. Offensively, Wes was really good running the point, and CJ and Jeremy really got cooking. They couldn't guard him with the 2 bigs out there, and then CJ and then Perkins came alive and hit those 3 threes in the second half, which was huge. So we're able to space the floor a little bit better than a lot of teams that they typically would play. Our bigs might not be 7-footers, but they, Perkins and Jeremy are 4 and are 5 that play a majority of the minutes, and they can both shoot it really well.
Took advantage. Now, it's funny. It's one thing, and you made a good point, Nate. I was happy to hear that first response. It's one thing to win one game in a tournament. It's another thing to win a second game. Now, I know maybe Buffalo a little better than a 13 seed, but you've been down this path a million times. You get the 1 win, and you're all excited, and then you come out a little flat in game 2 against a big-time opponent. So you have to avoid that here in these next 24 hours. Give me some thoughts on that for a sec. Let me hear.
Yeah, so our guys, we went in. I mean, they obviously are going to celebrate a win over at Arizona. I mean, you don't get too many of those in your lifetime. So they did, but one of the reporters walked in and kind of made the statement like, thought you guys would really be partying and celebrating it up, and one of our players told him, no, we expected to win. I think our guys had the mindset, like, yeah, it's a great win, and let's enjoy it and make sure that, we understand doesn't happen too often. It's the first time in school history that you win an NCAA tournament game. But I think our guys really expected and wanted to get that, and we also want to get the second one. So guys were really good about getting to bed last night. They've been great with the getting locked into video today, and I just think they got to get locked into the scouting report for the next 24 hours and make sure they're ready to go. And really, we've been fortunate. We don't have any serious things. We went through some injuries through the course of the year. Carruthers missed a month and a half, and Kenna had back surgery and didn't play until December, almost the end of December. Wes had to miss the first 10 games on the NCAA transfer deal, and so we finally have our full roster, and it's finally healthy, which a lot of teams come March, they aren't fortunate to have that, so it's great that we've got that right now, too.
Looking forward to it, Nate. Great job. Good start. Enjoy Boise for the day and have a good performance tomorrow. Thanks for starting off the show today. Really appreciate it.
No, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Coach. Good luck. We'll be watching.
You got it. Nate Oats, Buffalo. You know what they did yesterday, Bob? Let's start there today. The big upset of the night. And there was some good games yesterday, but this obviously was a highlight, and they blew them out. Now, I wasn't on top of this game throughout the night, but every time I turned on, they were pushing the pace. And it seemed to me they realized they got 2 7-footers. We are not getting into a half-court game, getting this game in the low 60s. And that's when most upsets occur, when there's less possessions, because the better teams usually got more talent. So you usually don't see the better team get outscored in a losing game.
But this has changed, my friend. Your formula for an upset right there that you're talking about had been the formula. Keep the game in the 50s and the 60s. Go deep into the shot clock. But what was happening is there weren't as many upsets as people thought with that strategy. And coaches got a little smarter. And they said, you know what? What we need to do is get the ball down the court in a hurry before they set up their defense where their athleticism is greater than ours. Knock in some threes, get the lead. And so that's the formula now. And, I mean, I'm watching Buffalo. Arizona could not guard them. I mean, they had clear outs. They had
quickness to the basket.
Yeah. And so you spread the floor out. You make use. They shot 50% from 3-point range. You said 45 to 6.
Can't lose a game like that. It's impossible.
Exactly. So I think the formula for the upset has changed some. The problem with doing that is you rush the ball down the floor. You want to get a shot in the first 7 or 8 seconds if you can. Lay up 3, okay? Then you try to go deeper into the shot clock. But the problem with that is you have at the end of a shot clock, you have to have 2 or 3 guys who can take people off the dribble one-on-one and get into the paint and either score or make a reasonable shot. If you don't have that, then you're going to be in trouble.
And you made a great point when I saw you first thing this afternoon, and that's the idea that Alabama, 2 seconds before the game is, it's 2 seconds after the game is over, they got 2 guys declaring for the NBA.
Arizona, yeah.
I say Alabama. Arizona, which is a sign that, maybe they're not all, I'm not trying to say they're not committed, but they're distracted. Let's put it that way.
Here's the thing, and I'm not saying this is true about Arizona, but it's something that I've noticed in the last couple of years. There's performing and there's winning, okay? You go to play on Broadway. You watch the actors perform and sing and do whatever they're doing, and everybody's happy. Nobody loses. Everybody wins, okay? Basketball game, somebody wins, somebody loses. So if you're into performing, which a lot of younger players are into that, they want to see themselves on television. They want to make a good play. They want to make an impression on the NBA, whatever the case may be. That's not about winning. That's about performing. So I think coaches nowadays have to really teach kids about winning. And sometimes you don't see that all the time. And you saw it with Buffalo, that's for sure. They wanted to win.
I think they're going to be in tough case against Kentucky. We'll spend some time on that a little later on. All right, that's Mr. Wenzel, Mr. Russo here on a busy program. Let me give you a little updates, and let's get Bob's quick thoughts, and then we'll get into it in a little deeper detail here. A&M 73-69 over Providence. Yep. I thought Providence would win this game. They were a slight underdog. A&M's athleticism seemed to be the difference. Give me some thoughts on this game.
A&M was bigger and more powerful in the paint. They had 2 post guys, had 14 and 13 rebounds apiece, and I think that was the difference in the game. And it was a tight game. It was very tight until right at the end. Bullock had 22. Alpha Diallo had 21. But Cartwright, who's their point guard, was really not a big factor in the game.
Played well in the Big East tournament, too.
He did. And I think that wore him out, to tell you the truth, a little bit. So I think Texas A&M's strength on the interior eventually wore down the Friars, and I think that's why they won the game.
Purdue easy over Cal State Fullerton. I think they're on their way to a Villanova showdown, and they got off to a good start today.
I agree with you totally. I think Purdue, during the course of the season, I thought they were one of the best teams in the country, top 3 or 4 teams in the country, and they went through a period where Vincent Edwards, their small forward / big forward, was injured and was out. They stumbled a little bit. They looked a little weary at the end of the year.
Right.
I think the fact that the Big Ten tournament was in New York a week earlier is helping Purdue.
Good point.
I think it's hurting Michigan because Michigan was hot, and then they had to wait for 13 days.
And they played poorly yesterday. They won, but they played poorly. All right, exactly. Cincinnati was down early, and they're about to go up by 6 with 13 minutes to go. Good performance by Georgia State, who 2 years ago beat Baylor, the coach's son, and he made the huge shot to do it. Now they're in a game against Cincinnati. Cincinnati scoring some points in this game, and you said they scored more than I used to think. Bearcats are 2 in the South region with Virginia.
Cincinnati is an awesome team, and when I say that, I mean I would not be surprised if they're in the Final Four at all. Gary Clark has, you know how you talk about a guy who has 1,000 points and you say, well, that's a big deal. This guy's got 1,000 rebounds also.
That's pretty impressive.
I mean, that's very
1,000
impressive.
and 1,000.
They are physically tough, as they always are with Cincinnati, but they are not the grind-out team that they've been in past where they score 50 a game. I mean, they can score 70s, 80s, and they take care of business on the offensive and defensive boards, and that is their strength.
But they've been in a competitive matchup here with Georgia State, only up 4 with 12 minutes to go. We'll keep an eye on that. A very good game, which we'll get to the play-by-play of in the last 4 minutes. Marshall with our buddy D'Antoni leads Wichita State right now with 5:32 to go, 66-65. This game, they led early, down at the half, and currently now Wichita State just made a 3, 68-66, 5:22 to go. So Marshall's played well in their first-round game.
Well, I'll tell you what.
And you're surprised.
I was surprised. I was shocked. I did not know a lot about this team, and I was educated a little bit about it today. And
Wichita and Marshall, who shoots a lot of threes, just made one. They're back up 1. So this game's got a lot of life to it here, Bob, in the last 5 minutes.
They got a guy named Elmore who plays on this team, played for VMI, who leads the country in scoring every year. He plays like Steve Nash, dribbles the ball all over the place.
And not a shot he doesn't like, that's for sure. Boy, back and forth jump shots in this game. Wichita State makes one. They're up by a point, so we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll get to the play-by-play here momentarily. And North Carolina has begun. They trail by 2 halfway through the first half against Lipscomb. Butler and Arkansas shortly. The number to shoot for there is 150.5, and I'll let your imagination run wild on that. We'll take a timeout. We continue on a busy program here at Mad Dog Unleashed.